Guys, what is up? Welcome to another episode of Maximilian Must Know. This is a video I've really wanted to do for some time. Before we do get into the heart of this video, let me just tell you guys what my scent of the day is. You know, this is one I had really to the back of my my shelves for a long time, and I remember how much I loved this when I bought it, and now that I'm learning how to become a perfumer, I really love this one. This is from Kiehl's, the skincare company, and it's called Original Musk, and it is a fantastic, very, not in the vein of like a white musk by Body Shop. This is a very animalistic, perfectly blended musk that reminds me a lot of fragrances like Koros by Yves Saint Laurent, Figment, Man by Amouage. It's just a very animalic, Animal Sauvage by Marlou. It's a very, very good, purely animalic musky scent. It is of unbelievable niche quality. It smells actually quite a bit like Musk Tonkin by Parfum de Empire, if you ever smelled that. And it's like 50 bucks a bottle. I cannot, and I think it's an eau de parfum. Let's see, does it say here? It's eau de toilette. But I cannot recommend this high enough. It's perfectly unisex and it lasts forever in a day. And again, $50, maybe the best musk fragrance of all time. You know, actually, I think I probably like Musk Tonkin better, and I think I probably like Musk's de Kubla Khan a little bit better by Serge Lutton, but those are both, you know, significantly more expensive scents. So that's what I'm wearing. I love this scent during sort of cold and rainy days, and that's what we have here in this this fall New York spring. So anyway, this is a video I wanted to do on the hype train, and you know, I was going to do this video no matter what. I saw recently Robes 08, you know, Mark put a video out sort of on the same subject. I think he did a good job covering it. Want to give my own sort of spin on this as well. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because someone who's been in the fragrance reviewing game now on YouTube for now, it's been over 5 years. I'm certainly not the old guard, but I'm not a young buck either in this. And I think I have a take in which I've seen some things happen pretty significantly over the past couple years that are a little bit disturbing. So first, let's talk about how does hype happen in the fragrance community. I feel like what happens is a very influential reviewer with a lot of subscribers talks up a fragrance, and then what happens is other smaller reviewers buy bottles or get bottles sent to them perhaps, and they review these same fragrances that the bigger reviewers sort of gave a good score to. And then mayhem seems to occur in fragrance groups online. Splits happen, people hoard bottles, etc. People try to jack up the price. People sometimes say that X scent might be discontinued. All kinds of madness happens once the scent sort of has a little bit of hype behind it. Now, sometimes this happens with fragrances that become classics, right? Like Aventus. Hey, there was a hype train behind Aventus. I think that was a well-deserved hype train. Christian Dior Sauvage, not my favorite fragrance in the world. Unbelievable compliment magnet. A pretty ingenious fragrance in terms of what it's turned into. Regardless of what I think of Sauvage, people love it, and I think the hype behind Sauvage was real. And then sometimes hyped up fragrances peter out really, really quickly. And that happened with one of the few fragrances I got sort of hype trained into buying, and that was Intense Cafe. I remember Intense Cafe came out, and a bunch of reviewers talked it up. I was at Bergdorf Goodman. I blind bought a bottle. I reviewed it. I liked it. In retrospect, it was probably a mistake to buy that fragrance. I don't love it in retrospect. It's not really a coffee fragrance to me. It's just a lot of rose and vanilla. Hey, but like Intense Cafe, Insurrection Pure by Rayanne was another fragrance, had a hype train behind it. You don't hear about that fragrance anymore. There's so many Aventus clones at this point. There's a ton of fragrances, to be honest, that for me have fallen into this hype train designation. New Harlem by Bond Number 9 had it going for a while. Back to Black by Killian. Certainly Black Afghano by Nasamato. So many fragrances have become hype train fragrances. Some have sort of stood the test of time and become fragrance classics, and some have turned out to literally just be hype train fragrances. Now, if they're cheapies, like some of the clone scents, then it's not a huge wallet hit to get caught up in that hype. But with some niche scents, and even if you buy designer scent after designer scent, you can be out a lot of money. And it's very possible you can be out a lot of money for a fragrance that you don't even like that much. You know, it's a funny thing. There are a lot of similarities between getting into wine and getting into fragrances. When most people get into wine, they prefer very sweet and fruity varietals, German Rieslings, dessert wines, Moscato, and then as they learn and taste more, they start to like fruitier reds. And eventually, as their palate really matures and expands, they'll get into Cabernets, and they'll get into Burgundies, Super Tuscans, and the drier white wines. When you get into fragrances, I feel like we all, as teenagers, we all sort of like freshies and sports scents, and then you sort of realize, that those are also similar, and there's really no great differences between those scents. From an even higher level, they probably are made with 90% of the same base materials with some slight fluctuations. And then you want to smell resinous scents, and scents with oud and animalic notes and florals and woods. But why I'm telling you that is what I'm suggesting to you guys, and this is really for newer viewers, but it's for everybody, is let that process happen naturally. Don't ever let a reviewer sway you into buying something you don't like or you're not comfortable buying. And I also highly recommend having most of your collection, at least when you're just starting out, made up of samples and decants. If you really love a scent, get a bottle. But this hobby can get expensive fast, believe me, I know. I have sunk tens of thousands of dollars into it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with becoming a collector as long as you can afford it and you're not being swayed into hype by reviewers. But the best way to do this is to sample, 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 figure out what you like, and then purchase bottles of what you like. I'm sure all of us in our lives have worn something, eaten something, drank something, did a drug, worn a fragrance that we didn't particularly want to or didn't like to impress a girl or male or just to seem cool. But I promise you, there's nothing cooler in life than being true to yourself and not pretending that you're something you're not, or that you like something that you don't like. That's not cool. A lot of reviewers, and this is just cold, hard reality, okay? It's not just fragrances, it's sneaker reviewers, it's tech reviewers. A lot of reviewers in general are motivated by something other than the best interest of their audience. So take everything you see and everything everyone says, myself included, with a grain of salt. And don't fall into the hype. Just don't do it. You're going to spend a lot of money if you try to pick up every fragrance that is hyped, and you're literally only doing it probably at that point because someone is fooling you. And I will never try to do that. But, you know, sometimes we you know, even as reviewers, get caught up, right, in different things, and we see things as one way when they might not be that way. And then in retrospect, you know, I kind of want to review everything I reviewed years ago now that I know so much about the industry and so much about how perfume is made, and give a new take on it, because I'm sure I've recommended fragrances that I should not have recommended, and I think that's okay. But I think when you do that willingly, knowingly, that you're deceiving people, or you're doing so to make a company happy, or a perfumer happy, or a sponsor happy, I think that's a shame. And I think you, as a audience member, really need to watch out for that. And don't put your hard-earned money out there unless you know you really want that fragrance, because it can get really crazy really quickly. And I've seen that happen to a lot of people. That's it. Nothing nuts. I just want, you know, something I've been thinking about for a long time, and I'm sure I have new subscribers, and it's daunting when you really get into this fragrance game at first and you watch reviews. There's so much going on. There's so many fragrances coming out now. In the niche world, in the indie world, it's hard to keep up. And so really sampling and getting decants is the best way to do so. And just take a deep breath, let your taste come to you as your nose matures, and buy what you like. That's it. Thank you guys for watching this. Hopefully someone will get something from this. I'll see you again very soon with a review. But this is going to be my first review in a long time, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that. And that's it, guys. As always, feel free to leave a comment or question. I always respond. It takes me a little bit of time sometimes, but I always try to respond. My name, obviously, is Maximilian, and I must know. Peace.